Hi, this is George Alger with another segment of Our Ventura TV. Today's topic is adrenal exhaustion, and we have health expert Joanie Blaxter here to talk about that today. Hi, Joanie.
Hey, George. It's good to see you again.
Joanie, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am the chapter leader for the Ventura County chapter of the Weston A. Price Foundation, which is a nonprofit educational organization that disseminates information about nutrition. I also work full-time for the last 2.5 years on the vitamin aisle at Rainbow Bridge as a vitamin specialist, and I've been in the natural foods and products industry for more than 30 years.
Great. All right, well, let's talk about adrenal exhaustion. What the heck is it?
George, my favorite topic. Because I have to tell you, just about everyone who comes on the vitamin aisle to ask me questions, I think has some degree of adrenal exhaustion. It is an undiagnosed epidemic in this country, in my opinion. So let me describe first about what adrenals do, and I'm going to use my hands here to do a picture. We primarily rely on the adrenals for cortisol production on a day-to-day basis. Adrenaline is what we need when, like, the baby's stuck under the car and you gotta lift the car up. But on a daily basis, it's cortisol, which gives us energy. So when adrenals are really healthy, what happens is we sleep well all night long, we wake up in the morning and we've produced cortisol all night long, so our levels are high. And then we just draw on that kind of like a bank all day long, and then when we get to the end of the day, we are sleepy, not tired. And there's a critically important difference between those two states. And then we fall asleep easily, and then we renew our levels, and it starts all over again. Now, when the adrenals get fatigued to some degree or another, what happens is we generally don't sleep terribly well, and when we wake in the morning, our cortisol levels are low. And that's generally when we get up, and the first thing we want to do, of course, is reach for the coffee, because caffeine is kind of like kicking a dog when it's down. It forces the adrenals to do a spurt of cortisol production, which we generally need because our brains are very foggy and we're about to go off to work. However, it causes the adrenals to become more and more tired because you're forcing them to do something that they don't really have the wherewithal to do. So unfortunately what happens is the adrenals go into a spiky cortisol production that looks kind of like that. And the typical pattern is we wake up in the morning, as I said, very foggy brained, not really awake. And then we don't really start to feel like ourselves until around noontime or so. Then there's characteristically a big drop-off in energy in the afternoon. We oftentimes go for that coffee break again. And then it begins to usually rise in the evening around the time that we have dinner or supper. And it goes up, up, up. And for many people, it's 10 o'clock and other people are getting ready for bed and they're just getting wired. They're on the computer, they're reading a book, they want to go party. And they can't settle down. They literally cannot fall asleep. Other people, they are extremely tired, fall asleep uncontrollably almost, and then bing, they wake up in the 2-3 o'clock range. Another version of that pattern is sometimes people will sleep a short amount, only 5 or 6 hours, they wake up at 4 o'clock or so. And the reason for that is because our cortisol is doing this, including during our sleep. So, it will bing awake you in the middle of the night. So you wake up and your mind is very active. And I think it's unfortunate, but most of us who experience this pattern, we tend to blame ourselves. We think we've done something, we're approaching some situation wrong, it's a psychological issue. And I want to just relieve anybody who has this problem that no, it's nothing that you're doing, it's just we're all hormonally driven. So all you have to do is begin to get a handle on your adrenal issues and you will find that problem sliding away.
Okay, so let me just make sure I got this straight. All these different ways that people respond to energy is based on their adrenals?
Generally.
Okay.
Generally.
Or natural energy, I should say, as well. Okay.
Cortisol is very important to our day-to-day energy levels.
Okay. Now, where are the adrenals?
The adrenals are two little glands that are located right above the kidneys. And in both Chinese medicine and Ayurvedic medicine, they are associated with fear, which makes perfect sense because that's what we generate. You know, we are more than 99% still genetically and physically the same as hunter-gatherers. And the function of the adrenal glands originally is when, you know, that saber-toothed tiger is coming down the valley at us, we do this spurt of cortisol and adrenaline. We use that to race up the hill, climb up the tree, get away from the tiger, and then, whew, all is well, and then they can replenish themselves. Well, in this modern culture, we have many, many stimulants, both through our diet and our daily life, that causes those adrenals to be producing those spikes on an ongoing basis. And here you are sitting in traffic and you spike cortisol and you can't get out and run. There's no getting away from it. Or you're talking with your boss about how there might be layoffs. So being able to manage your cortisol production is very important to being able to stay stable.
Okay. Now, I want to get into how to manage it, but I also want to see if I can ensure I understand when you know your adrenals aren't working good. So if you're not waking up well rested in the morning, that would be an indicator.
Number one.
Okay.
Yep.
But if you, for instance, like there are times I get up in the middle of the night and I feel energized and I'll just start working. And sometimes I'll go back to bed and sometimes I won't. But is that an indicator that there's something wrong with the adrenals, or is that just, you know, sometimes I have more energy is what it seems like to me? Well,
for me, you have to ask the larger question of why do I have more energy at this very odd time? This is not part of the normal pattern for humans. So I always take it as a red flag when somebody tells me they're a night owl or they come from a family of night owls. And part of that is habits that we pick up, you know, psychological situations that we're in. And the other part of it, really in my experience, even more important than that, is diet. And of course, we tend to eat the same things that our families eat. That's where we learn how to eat. So yeah, for me, it's a red flag.
Okay. So then what would be some additional red flags?
Well, really surprisingly, any symptoms of gas or bloating or sour stomach or acid reflux or ulcers.
Wow.
Yeah.
Those are common.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Very common. And here's the reason why. Okay, one of the little known functions of the adrenal glands is that it monitors your stomach acid levels. So when your adrenals are tired, it means that your stomach acid level is chronically low. We don't stop eating. The reason what happens is we don't have enough acidity to break down the food that we're eating, and it stays in the stomach for too long, and so it ferments. Hence the gas and bloating, the feeling like your food is kind of like a stone in your stomach. And eventually what happens is what they call in Chinese medicine reverse qi, because qi is supposed to go down and out.
Now, what is qi?
Qi is life force. It's the natural production of how things move healthily through the body.
Okay.
Okay. So when we don't have enough stomach acid, eventually stomach says, look, I told you I don't have enough acidity to break this down. Okay, you can have it back again. And it actually pushes the contents of the stomach up because it can't pass through the ileocecal valve and go down. When the contents of the stomach hit the base of the esophagus, it doesn't belong there, so it burns. That's how we experience it. And then we say, oh, I have too much acidity, so I have to take my Tums, my baking soda, whatever. When in fact, the underlying condition is that we don't have enough acidity. If we had enough, the contents of the stomach would stay down where they belong. And so by taking these acid blockers, we actually make the situation worse.
Okay. So if a person recognizes that they have some symptoms that could be adrenal exhaustion, what would be some solutions?
Well, the first thing I always do is I bring folks over to the section of the aisle where I have the hydrochloric acid. Because if somebody comes to me with symptoms of a sleep disorder and any problems around digestion, I assume that they're probably chronically low in stomach acidity. And the really big problem with that is that it means that no matter what you eat, you're never getting the real true benefit of the nutrients that are contained in that food. In particular, you're not getting your minerals, because minerals like calcium, magnesium, potassium, all of those are very, very alkaline. And so of course you need those in particular to calm down. And the second thing is that you need to be able to break down your protein into amino acids, which are neurotransmitters. Once again, it helps you sleep. So it's all this catch-22. So that's always the first place that I start. And when you're dealing with a person that you suspect that they're low in stomach acid, but you don't know for sure, you always have to start conservatively. And so you have to find the lowest potency HCl on the shelf. And what it says is HCl, which stands for hydrochloric acid, which is another name for stomach acid. And the first word is always betaine, and that simply means it comes from beets. So when you find the lower potency one, it's a very simple protocol where at your next meal, you take 1 tablet at the beginning of your meal. And what you're looking for is a feeling about halfway, 2/3 of the way through your meal, of heat in your stomach. So it's not acidity. It's not a feeling of it being uncomfortable. It actually is quite pleasant. It's like a warm belly. It's like a really good strong cup of ginger tea, because ginger stimulates HCl production. So it feels nice. So if you get through your meal after taking your HCl and you don't get that feeling of warmth, then your next meal you're going to bump it up to 2. And no heat, next meal you're going to bump it up to 3. And you just keep going until you get that feeling of very comfortable warmth.
Okay, now, is there any correlation between HCl and digestive enzymes?
No, HCl pertains specifically to the acidity level in the stomach. Digestive enzymes are what are produced by your liver that also help break down your food.
Okay.
So 2 different things are both related to digestion.
Okay, good. Now we're just about out of time. Is there anything else that you might want to mention in regards to solutions for adrenal exhaustion?
The next thing that I always show people are the adaptogenic herb section. Adaptogenic herbs are called that because they help us adapt to stress, which means that when your energy is flagging, like in the afternoon, it will help bring your energy up. And if you're too high-wired, anxious, uncomfortable, it will help bring that down. And it gives us constitutional strength. The one that most people know about is ginseng. The one that I personally use and prefer is rhodiola.
Wow, I've not heard of rhodiola.
Well, there's actually a number. There's also maca. Rhodiola is from the Russian steppes, I believe. Maca is from South American Andes. We have ashwagandha and astragalus, which both come from the Himalayas in India. So all of these are roots that grow in these cold mountainous climates, and they're known in their indigenous cultures for being helpful for constitutional strength.
Okay, cool. All right, well, we're out of time now, but is there any summating message you'd like to convey to the viewers about adrenal exhaustion?
Well, as I said, I believe adrenal exhaustion to be absolutely epidemic. And it's not one of those subjects that are easily resolved through a pharmaceutical approach, and I think that that's part of the reason you don't hear that much about it. You can absolutely resolve it. It does take time, because it takes time to get adrenal exhaustion. The other thing that I found to be critically important in terms of correcting mine has been to be willing to change my diet, eliminate the sugars, the caffeines, and critically important for me has been to eliminate gluten and pasteurized dairy products. But maybe we can talk about that more at another time, or if anyone wants to visit me at Rainbow Bridge, I'd be happy to let them know about why I think that's important.
Great. All right, well, thank you very much for stopping by, Joanie.
Great, George. Thanks again.
This is George ALGER signing off for this segment of OurVentura TV. Until we see you again.